In the heart of Atlanta in 1963, a powerful gathering was underway. The atmosphere was electric, filled with an overwhelming sense of hope and determination. It was a time when people from all walks of life came together to stand against injustice and fight for their rights. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and everyone felt they had a role to play in the quest for equality. The church where the gathering took place was packed to the brim with men, women, and children, all eager to join hands and share their dreams for a better future. Colorful banners adorned the walls, while spirited conversations buzzed like bees in springtime. People exchanged stories about their struggles and successes, each voice adding to the collective spirit that filled the room. As the event began, powerful speakers took the stage, sharing messages of hope and resilience. Their words stirred an emotional fire in everyone present. They spoke passionately about freedom and justice, galvanizing those listening to believe that change was possible, change that would come not only through words but through unity and action. Amid this charged environment, there was a unique sense of anticipation. Attendees felt like they were part of something larger than themselves. They were not just witnesses but also active participants in history as it unfolded before them. Excitement rippled through the crowd at every mention of courage or perseverance. In this moment of solidarity and strength, little did anyone know that a young girl named Naomi Ellis was quietly observing from the back of the crowd. Her heart swelled with both pride and nervous energy as she listened to the adult voices around her. With each passing moment, she found herself inspired to raise her own voice, a flicker of courage igniting within her that would soon become part of this unforgettable day. While the crowd buzzed around her, Naomi Ellis stood at the back of the church, absorbing the energy that flowed through the room. At just 12 years old, she was a passionate musician, often finding solace in the melodies that danced through her head. Music was her escape and her voice was a tool of expression. It allowed her to share her feelings with the world. In her small hands, she often held a worn-out songbook filled with freedom songs that echoed the struggles and hopes of her community. Naomi's love for music started at home, where her mother would sing old spirituals around the house. The sweet sounds of those songs ignited a spark in Naomi, filling her heart with dreams of making a difference through her own voice. She had spent countless afternoons practicing, trying to match the power and emotion of the songs she loved. When she learned about the gathering that would be held in Atlanta, Naomi felt an immediate pull to attend. This wasn't just another event, it represented the heartbeat of a movement that resonated deeply within her. She wanted to be part of something meaningful, to lift her voice among those calling for change. So, she mustered up the courage to convince her family to let her go, hoping that somehow she could contribute to the fight for justice. Now, as she stood amidst the crowd, watching passionate speakers share their visions of a brighter future, Naomi felt butterflies in her stomach. The words spoken resonated with her very soul, and she knew this was a moment where she could stand up and be heard. Little did she realize just how powerful and significant her own voice would soon become in that gathering overflowing with hope. As Naomi stood in the back of the church, she felt the familiar tug of a freedom song rising within her. The song that danced in her mind was, "We Shall Overcome," a powerful anthem of hope and resilience that had become synonymous with the civil rights movement. It echoed the sentiments of countless individuals who had faced adversity and fought for their rights with unwavering courage. This particular song held deep meaning for Naomi and many others. It spoke of overcoming struggles, dreaming of a better future, and uniting people toward a common goal. Each verse was filled with determination, reminding everyone that freedom was not just a distant dream but an achievable reality if they stood together. Naomi had sung this song many times, practicing every note until she could feel its rhythm in her bones. As the gathering continued around her, Naomi felt an urge to share this song with the crowd. Among the passionate speeches echoing off the church walls, her heart raced as she imagined her own voice joining in the chorus of hope. Singing this freedom song would not only be an act of personal expression but also a way to connect with everyone present, reminding them that they were not alone in their fight for justice. The atmosphere seemed to shift as she softly began to sing from the back of the room. At first, her voice was just a whisper against the chaotic energy surrounding her. But as she sang about overcoming and believing in a brighter tomorrow, something magical happened. The crowd began to quiet down, drawn in by the sincerity in her voice. Each word carried the weight of their collective yearnings, and with every note, Naomi poured her heart into the song, hoping it would inspire courage in those who heard it. Little did she know, this moment would soon transcend her own expectations and touch the hearts of everyone around her. As Naomi's gentle voice filled the church, it began to cut through the noise of the gathering. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at the front of the room, was passionately addressing the crowd about hope and justice when he suddenly paused. Something in the air shifted, and he turned his head slightly, his keen ears picking up the soft yet powerful notes of Naomi singing, "We shall overcome." At first, he thought it might be a figment of his imagination, but as he listened more closely, he realized that this sweet voice belonged to a child. The purity and sincerity of her song resonated deeply within him. It was a sound that echoed not just with melody but with heartfelt longing, a longing for change, for freedom, and for a brighter future. Dr. King's expression changed as he became captivated by her performance. He leaned slightly forward, straining to hear every word she sang. The crowd around him seemed to slowly fade away as they too became aware of this beautiful moment unfolding at the back of the church. Murmurs swept through the audience, curiosity bubbling as heads turned to locate the source of this enchanting sound. With an encouraging smile spreading across his face, Dr. King raised his hand and called out gently, "Bring that young lady forward." His voice was steady but filled with warmth and excitement, signaling that something special was about to happen. The people in attendance exchanged glances, their faces lighting up with surprise and admiration for Naomi's bravery. As she continued to sing softly, a ripple of anticipation spread through the congregation. They could sense that Dr. King's request would soon transform this heartfelt moment into something unforgettable, a connection between generations united by a common dream. As the words of Dr. King rang in the church, Naomi felt a rush of emotions flooding her heart when he called out for her to come forward. Excitement mingled with nerves, causing her palms to sweat and her heart to race. This was not just any moment. It was a chance for her voice to be heard by someone she admired deeply. Taking a deep breath, she gathered her courage and began to walk toward the front of the church. With every step, the whispers and murmurs of the crowd faded into the background. She could feel their eyes on her, a mix of admiration and encouragement that made her both thrilled and anxious. Her mind swirled with thoughts. What would Dr. King say? Would she be able to sing again in front of everyone? As she approached him, Naomi caught a glimpse of his warm smile, which radiated reassurance. This man, who stood as a beacon of hope for so many, was now looking directly at her. In his eyes she saw recognition, not just of her talent, but of the bravery it took for her to sing in front of such a large audience. It sparked an ember of confidence within her. When she finally reached him, Dr. King gently gestured for her to stand beside him. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as the crowd awaited what would happen next. Naomi's heart drummed loudly in her chest. She could hear it echoing in her ears as she stood there, feeling small yet significant. In that moment, all doubts began to melt away. She remembered why she had come, because music had the power to uplift and unite people in their struggle for freedom. With Dr. King beside her, she knew this was an opportunity not just for herself but for everyone who believed in the dream they were fighting for together. As Naomi stood beside Dr. King, her heart raced in anticipation. The congregation was silent, a sea of expectant faces watching her every move. Drawing in a deep breath, she felt the weight of the moment settle over her like a warm blanket. She knew this was not just about her, it was about the hopes and dreams of all those gathered in that church. With a gentle nod from Dr. King, she began to sing, "We shall overcome." Her voice was soft at first, almost trembling, but as she continued, it grew stronger with each note. The melody flowed from her heart, weaving through the air like a thread connecting everyone present. It carried the essence of struggle and resilience, echoing the shared dreams for justice and equality. Naomi poured her emotions into every word, feeling the power of the song resonate within her. She remembered her mother's teachings about music's ability to heal and inspire. With each verse, she could almost see the faces of those who had fought before her, people who had marched for their rights and suffered for their beliefs. Their spirits seemed to rise with her voice, filling the room with a palpable energy. The audience began to sway gently, caught up in the magic of the moment. Some whispered along with her lyrics, while others closed their eyes to fully absorb what they were witnessing. Naomi's connection to the song transformed into something greater than herself. It became a collective anthem for hope. As she reached the final chorus, her voice soared higher, filled with conviction and joy. The room erupted in applause when she finished, but for Naomi, it felt like more than just clapping hands. It was an affirmation that together they could overcome any obstacle. In that instant, she realized how deeply music could unite people in their fight for freedom and inspire them to keep dreaming of a better future. As Naomi finished her performance, an almost tangible silence enveloped the church. The audience, moved deeply by her passionate rendition of "We Shall Overcome," sat in astonished stillness, as if time itself had paused to savor the moment. It was a profound hush, one that spoke of collective emotion and reverence. In those few heartbeats, everyone in that room shared an unspoken understanding of the significance of what they had just witnessed. The echoes of her voice lingered in the air, and people glanced around at one another, their eyes wide with wonder. Some wiped away tears that had formed during her soulful performance, while others exchanged gasps of surprise as they processed the courage this young girl had shown in front of them. It was a reminder that even the smallest voices can create powerful ripples of change. Then, like a wave crashing onto the shore, applause erupted throughout the church. Clapping hands filled the space with joyous energy that cascaded through the congregation. People rose to their feet, cheering for Naomi's bravery and talent. The sound was thunderous, a vibrant celebration of hope and unity that soared above any despair they had felt. In that moment, Naomi stood in awe, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. It was not just praise for her singing, it was recognition of all they were striving for, an acknowledgement of their fight for civil rights, justice, and equality. The warmth enveloping her felt like a warm embrace from every soul present. As she beamed at Dr. King beside her, he too joined in the applause, his face radiant with approval and admiration. This outpouring of affection became a rallying cry symbolizing their collective strength. Naomi realized then that music was indeed a universal language capable of bridging gaps and igniting passions shared by generations striving for freedom together. In the moments following Naomi's unforgettable performance, the energy in the church was electric. Attendees turned to one another, faces beaming with joy and pride as they shared their thoughts on what they had just witnessed. Conversations sparked everywhere, each person inspired by the young girl's bravery and the deep emotions she evoked through her music. "Did you hear that?" an elderly man said to his neighbor, his voice thick with emotion. "She sang with the spirit of our ancestors." Another woman chimed in. "It gives me hope for our future. If a child like her can stand up and sing about freedom, we must continue to fight for it." Dr. King stood at the forefront, smiling widely as he spoke to those around him. He expressed how moved he was by Naomi's performance, noting its significance in uniting the community and inspiring others to rally for change. "This is what it's all about," he declared passionately. "Her voice reminds us that we all have a role to play in this movement." As Naomi caught snippets of these conversations, her heart swelled with pride. The realization that her voice had resonated so deeply with others filled her with a sense of purpose she had never felt before. She felt a surge of encouragement as people approached her, complimenting her performance and sharing how it touched their hearts. One by one, individuals came to offer gratitude, telling her that her courage had reignited their commitment to the cause. A group of children gathered around her, eyes wide with admiration, asking if she would teach them the song. In those moments, Naomi knew she had not only shared her gift but had also become a part of something much larger, a movement fueled by hope and resilience that would carry on for generations. As the gathering began to disperse, Naomi felt a sense of belonging wash over her. She understood now that every voice mattered in the fight for justice and equality, and she was determined to keep singing for change. Naomi's act of courage that day would echo far beyond the walls of that church, becoming a pivotal moment in the broader narrative of the civil rights movement. Her performance was more than just a song. It represented hope and resilience for countless individuals who were fighting against injustice and inequality. Attendees left that gathering with her voice resonating in their hearts, inspired to advocate for change with renewed vigor. In the days and weeks that followed, stories about Naomi began to spread throughout the community. People spoke of how a young girl had summoned the bravery to sing in front of Dr. King and a crowd filled with leaders and activists. This simple act had awakened something within them, a rekindled belief that anyone could contribute to the cause, regardless of age or experience. Local newspapers covered the event, featuring Naomi's story alongside images capturing her moment on stage with Dr. King. Soon, she became a symbol of hope for young activists and musicians, showing them that they too could use their voices to make a difference. Schools incorporated "We Shall Overcome" into their programs, encouraging children to sing it during rallies and events, thus passing down Naomi's spirit of courage to future generations. Dr. King often referenced Naomi's performance in his speeches, highlighting how it reminded everyone that even the smallest actions can have monumental impacts. He encouraged others to recognize their own voices and roles in the movement, further solidifying Naomi's legacy as part of a larger tapestry woven together by resilience and unity. For Naomi, this newfound recognition was both humbling and empowering. She embraced her role as a young activist and continued to share her music, understanding that every note she sang contributed to the ongoing fight for justice. That day in Atlanta had not only inspired those around her, it had also forged an unbreakable bond between generations, united in their quest for equality and freedom. Looking back on that day, Naomi felt a whirlwind of emotions stir within her. What began as a quiet desire to share her love for music had transformed into an experience that reshaped her understanding of courage and activism. Standing there in front of Dr. King in the crowd, she had discovered the power of her own voice, something she never thought she possessed. Naomi realized that courage wasn't just about being fearless. It was about standing up for what is right, even when you feel small or uncertain. Singing "We Shall Overcome" had become an act of defiance against the injustices around her. It was a reminder that everyone, no matter how young or seemingly insignificant, could make a difference. Her performance inspired not only those who listened but also fueled her own belief in the impact one can have on the world. Reflecting on the reactions from the audience, Naomi understood how vital it was to share one's truth. The tears she saw on people's faces and the cheers that followed were validation of her belief. Music has the ability to connect hearts and ignite hope. She saw how her voice resonated with others, merging their struggles and dreams into a powerful collective vision for change. Emboldened by this realization, she embraced her role as an activist. Naomi knew she would continue to use her gift for music not just as entertainment, but as a means of advocacy. With each note, she would strive to inspire others to find their voices as well. In the years to come, Naomi carried with her the lessons learned that day, the importance of speaking up, sharing experiences, and believing in the power of community. As she dreamed of future gatherings filled with song and purpose, she vowed to keep singing for justice and equality, fostering a legacy that would inspire generations to come.